Avenues you can choose to research different jobs within, well, not just medical care, but any field. Where do you go to find it out? More crickets? Internet? Yeah. That's one avenue, but you got to be careful. You know, not everything on the internet is correct. Okay? Teachers, counselors, someone like me, friends, family. Those are all valid sources of advice. Again, use your best judgment. You know, your drunk Uncle Timmy, probably not the best source of advice. But what about other sources? What are some other things you can do to find out if a career field is right for you? Job shadow. All right? Yeah. That is one of the answers I was looking for. We'll get to that in a minute. Now, beyond just going to NTC or a community college or tech school or a college to get training, there are a couple of options. You know, you could go in the military. Okay? Okay? Now, granted, your wiring has to be a little bit loose to go in the military because it takes a certain breed of idiot to do that. I know. I was one. But if you score high enough on the military entrance test to qualify for medical fields, they will train you to do those jobs and pay you while they're training you. And you will get experience unlike anyone else. So, in addition to that, the certifications that you would need to practice outside the military, they'll pay for you to get. So, that's another avenue aside from going to school and going in debt. And there are other areas, getting back to what we were just talking about. I pulled 2 links off the internet. I just went to NTC and CVTC. Search by career field. I just went to their health options. They mostly mirror each other. The one thing CVTC has that NTC doesn't, that I saw, was sonography. Okay? Ultrasound. Okay? In fact, that's one of 2 places in the state where you can go to learn and be licensed to do sonograms. Okay? So
our NTC had that up to, I think, 2 years ago.
Did they?
And they got rid of it because the numbers were down in the area, and for them to hold the equipment and stuff. So I think that CVTC took their role.
Yeah, the only other place is a 4-year degree at a private college. So, you know, there are multiple options. And that goes back to my point earlier is, if you want to be a sonographer, would you do a 2-year degree or a 4-year degree? Which one makes more sense? If you want to go straight to work, 2-year degree, right? Would the 4-year degree come with any benefits? Possibly. You may have more specialty, more areas to specialize in. Because ultrasound is not just used to determine whether it's a boy or a girl. There are many other things they use ultrasounds for. Okay? But job shadows. Let's say you think you want to be a nurse. If that's something you're thinking about, but you're not quite sure, do you really want to go ahead and get into an RN program and then find out as you start your clinicals that, ew? No. Okay? Likewise, if you want to be a lab tech, and you realize, yeah, I don't really want to spend my life cooped up in a laboratory. You know? How do you find that out? Job shadows are a good way to rule out those things that you may find not to your liking. Okay? Now, as we roll into that part of it, one thing to keep in mind is this. How many of y'all are juniors? Okay. Seniors? Pretty much the rest of you? Any sophomores? No. Okay. Now, for juniors, you've got about a year and a half left in high school because, well, we're almost at the break, right? You've got time to do multiple job shadows. They only take 1 day each. Okay? Seniors, you've still got time to do that. Okay? How many of you have done a job shadow? Okay? Was it worth it? What'd you do?
I shadowed a bunch of people in the business part of the technical organization.
Okay. Who else did a job shadow? What'd you do?
Job shadowing.
Okay. What'd you think of it?
It was actually really cool.
Okay. Did it make you think that might be something you wanted to pursue?
Well, after sitting there and it gets hot in there really fast too.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I don't think I'd ever be able to do that. But the other jobs that were in there too, so.
Okay. What'd you do?
I shadowed a medical technician and I got to see a surgery.
Okay. What'd you think?
That was cool.
Yeah. Does it look like something you might want to do?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's the nice thing about job shadows. Okay. If you do them, they can help you figure out, yeah, this is really where I want to go, or, yeah, not so much. And it's better to find out not so much now. Okay? When there's nothing, there's no penalty for realizing that this isn't what you wanted to do. Okay? The worst position to find yourself in is 2 years into a 4-year program or 3 years into a 4-year program and start your clinicals for nursing and go, no. I don't like being around sick people. Well, you've just wasted 3 years of education to find out that's not what you want to do. And so now what? You're going to end up going further in debt to figure out what you're going to do next. Okay? Now, when you're in high school, is the time to figure that stuff out. Now, who here knows how to do a job shadow? How do you set up a job shadow?
You contact the consumer and job shadow.
Except if you want to do Aspirus.
Yeah.
Okay? For this school, first place you go, come see me. Okay? My job is to make sure that while you're out on that job shadow, your attendance is not docked. That you're covered for that. Okay? If you want to go to Aspirus and do a shadow at Aspirus, I've got the name and number of the person that can set that up. Okay? So if you want to do a job shadow, come see me. And I would encourage you, if you're thinking about a medical field, look into it. Take advantage of those shadowing opportunities now so that when you get to the point that you're making that decision as to where you're going to go and what you're going to do, you've already got something to look back and go, yeah, I've at least been exposed to it and I understand where I have to go. Does that make sense? Are there any other areas any of you guys might want to explore? Any other fields you want to look into? No? Go ahead.
So I know we've been talking about job shadowing for a little bit here. What would you do if you'd like to be a teacher someday?
A teacher?
Job shadow that.
Well, let's start with this. If you want to be a teacher, start with, find a teacher that you respect, right? And interview them, okay? Ideally, someone that's still positive about teaching, okay? The last thing you want to do if you're thinking about teaching as a career is to go talk to the burned out teacher. All right? But start by interviewing them. Find out why they got into teaching, what they like about it, what they don't like about it. Okay? And this is similar to what you would do on a job shadow. Okay? And then, if you want to, I mean, you're in a classroom every day. So you kind of get that feel for what a teacher does. But those interview questions that are part of the job shadow experience would be really, really helpful for you. Okay?
I think in regards to that too, well, you guys, I mean, for some of you, if you think, I don't want to be a teacher, what you're seeing us do is just such a small part of what we really do.
Yeah.
I mean, from the setup to the tear down, to the correcting, to the phone calls, to the email. I mean, there's a lot that goes beyond just this 1 hour class that you're with us.
And the prep that goes into
The
it.
prep and just follow one of your favorite teachers around for a day. Say, hey, can I follow you around for a day? And you'll be like, holy crap, I need to put rollerblades on to try to keep up with you guys.
Yeah. I came out of the military, went straight into teaching. I do not have a teaching education degree. They declared, it was basically a vocational certificate in the state of Florida. Because the Army certified me to teach JROTC, the state of Florida recognized it. My first year in the classroom, yeah, I had taught at the collegiate level before, but I'd never taught high school. It was an eye-opener. My first year was 100% learning for me, okay? And learned how to deal with high school students. For me, I had to make the change from being the person in charge to being the person who has absolutely no authority whatsoever. In my role in the Army, if you messed up, I had the authority to bring Thor's hammer down and do whatever I needed to do to make sure you towed the line. Yeah, they frown on that in a high school classroom. That'd be a quick way to find yourself in the unemployment line. So, the first year was educational for me, okay? I think probably my third year was when I started really feeling comfortable in the classroom. And my sister was a teacher, and now she's a counselor. Her first 2 years, she struggled quite a bit, but then over time it got better. And I think just about with any occupation, let's face it, where do you learn how to do your job? In the classroom or on the job?
On the job.
Yeah. All right. What you learn in the classroom gives you the background of knowledge that's necessary to make the right decisions, but the experience that you encounter on the job is where you really learn how to do that job. So, if you want to be a teacher, talk to one of the teachers about spending some time seeing what they do when they're not in the classroom. I think that's something we could probably arrange.
I've had a couple of my classmates that when we got out and they had to do their student teaching, after the 4 years of schooling, they did their student teaching, and that's when they realized they didn't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because now they were in charge of the classroom, and they're like, whoa, I just don't want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So that job shadowing aspect, is in all fields, everything. I know we're talking about the teaching right now, but great thing to do. Did anyone, one of you was talking with Dr., or who was it that, who was the one from the Spiders? Mrs. Defner. Wasn't one of the girls, didn't they talk with Megan Defner to see if they could, Rebecca Defner to see if they could shadow her? I thought that was one of you girls from here. Did you ever do it?
No.
How many of you are thinking a job shadow might be a good idea? Okay. I would encourage you to do as many as you can. You know, as long as your grades are up to, up to par, take advantage of those opportunities. Because it's better to figure out, yeah, I want to do that, than not. Right? When I was in your shoes, job shadows wasn't something that we were offered. You know, I did get to spend 24 hours in an emergency room as part of a SPOR program that was run by the local paramedic school. And it was a Friday night, full moon, in a port city. Yeah, it was eye-opening. I realized my original desire to become a soldier was probably more what I wanted to do than dealing with drunk sailors at 2 a.m. that just laid their arm wide open. They had to tie this clown down so they could stitch him up and save him. For me, that was a, nah, I'm done. I think I'm going to go do something else. But for other people that I was with, they thought it was awesome. You know? They liked the idea of tackling the drunk sailor and tying him to a bed and sticking needles in him. Okay, somebody's got to do it. You know? Take advantage of the opportunities you're given. Because once you leave high school, they don't come back. Use the time you have to explore different careers. Okay? Finding those two links took me less than 5 minutes. Okay? I've spent most of this year learning the University of Wisconsin collegiate system, which, frankly, guys, you have it better than most states. Right? In Florida, if you wanted to transfer from one state school to another, you would lose 1/3 of your credits. In the state of Wisconsin, that's not the case. Because of the way the UW system is set up, you can transfer from one school to another, and except for advanced courses in your major, you're not going to lose credits. Okay. Awesome system. The point here is to start trying to figure out what you want to do. Now, how many of you are actually interested in a healthcare occupation? Okay. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? Psychology? Okay. What do you want to do?
Me?
Yeah.
I want to be an obstetrics nurse.
I'm sorry?
Obstetrics nurse.
Okay. A little bit of school involved in that one. But if that's what you want to do, cool. Make a plan. All right? The key here is this. If you figure out what you want to do, once you know what that is, don't just let it be a dream. Okay? Come up with a plan. Do the research. Figure out what you have to do to make that a reality. And then don't let anything get in the way. If you want to be an obstetrics nurse, step 1 is what? Well, if you already know that's what you want to do, maybe not. But maybe you could go watch birth. I'll be honest with you. When my daughter was born by C-section, the doctor told me we go into the room, he says, bring your camera. I'm like, bring my what? He said, bring your camera, you're going to want a picture of this. Okay. My wife's been in labor for 16 hours. My hand feels like it's broken. She's not happy. Therefore, I'm not happy. Happy wife, happy life. She wasn't happy, I wasn't happy. We go into the operating room and they sit me near her head and there's a curtain between us and the doctor. He says, when I tell you to, get the camera ready, and then when I tell you to stand up and take the picture. I said, what? Of what? He said, you'll know. That was my first tip. I didn't catch it. I'm from Lower Alabama. He needed to be more specific than that. He said, stand up, and I stood up. How many of you have seen the movie Aliens? Well, what I saw was a head, right here. And, you know, if that's what you want to do for a living, great. You know, it was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And then he grabbed her by the head, one hand on each side, and just started ripping her shoulders out of her abdomen. And I thought, oh my God, he's going to kill the baby. I thought he was going to rip the baby's head off. She's a 6th grader now, it's to teen, or near, so I guess he didn't. But, you know, if you think that's what you want to do, job shadow might not be a bad idea if you can witness a birth. Because with obstetrics, that's part of it. It's a big part of it.
One thing we've done in the past is I had, this was before Mr. Richards, we got about have the students, if they thought of their career, I said, research the schools that offer it, and you'll find out that's like, holy smokes, the school that I need to go to, for instance, like optometry, right? When Dr. Sarrazin was like, what schools offer it? Where can you go? Chicago, right?
Yeah, there's not that many.
There was only like 2 or 3 in the nation that offer it. And the closest one was Chicago. So when you start thinking, I want to do this, you start researching, wow, that school that I need to go to is way over here. Now I'm away from home a little bit further, and where am I going to live, and all that comes into play. So that's a big thing. I found when the kids started doing it, they started researching, like, holy smokes. And then you look at how many years of schooling you're going to have. It'll tell you, minimum 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. And then you start, and they give you, then it gave you a whole general fund of, as far as what you're going to pay, and you realize, holy smokes, I'm $250,000 in debt, and I'm still in school. So that's another big step in that research, is to see what schools offer it, and the time frame and the cost factor behind it. You know, we all think that these doctors come out and they make big bucks. Yeah, maybe they do, but they're also in debt way over their head, and now you buy a house, and you buy a car, and you have insurance, and you start raising a family, so that $300,000 debt doesn't get paid off in 1 year because you're making $300,000. It still takes probably 15 to 20 years.
Yep. Because you got to pay malpractice insurance on top of everything else. Yeah, it takes a while. For nursing, how many of you want to be nurses? Okay, a couple of you. How many options do you have in the state of Wisconsin for places to go to become a nurse? A lot. Okay? You got NTC, Oshkosh, I think Eau Claire. Green Bay is now starting a nursing program this year. Stevens Point offers the BS in completion through NTC. Of course, you got Madison, but let me ask you a question.